Namaste. I see Rebecca is here. Hi. Now, we're starting half an hour later, and we'll be finished by 7 or most likely 10 past 7. So just be ready for that. Hi, Andrea. We'll need a chair today. You'll need your mat to be like mine, parallel to mine, and possibly with the wall behind you. You will not need necessarily the whole width of the wall, but the central part of the wall. Now, if you cannot adjust your mat in that way, have a chair behind you against the wall or against some piece of furniture so that you can, we're going to do a twist where, I just show it quickly from the side, because I will not show it from the side when we do it. But, you know, a twist like this. So you need something that you can push away with this hand. So it's either the wall or some stable object, piece of furniture or so. For the rest, the usual 2 blocks, 3 blankets, and a belt, like you normally take for the class. If you want to just communicate something about yourself, if you have any issues, today it will be mainly sitting and twists, then going into some inversions, some back bends, and finishing with pranayama. So I know some of you, I know Gijs is here, although you don't chat. So I'll give you sometimes some tips about knees. But if there is somebody else who wants to say something, write something, if you have a back issue, hips, shoulders, knees, neck, just let me know. So for those who are joining now, see if you can have a mat placed parallel to mine, like this, and possibly with a wall behind you. Or some other piece of furniture that's stable. Could be a sofa, cupboard that you can use for support. Okay, it's almost time. So you can already go and sit down. Make sure you have enough height. Take 1, 2, 3 blankets to sit on. Hermine, hi. So any issues, Hermine, or anyone else that you want to communicate to me before we begin in a minute? Then I can keep it in mind as I teach. Okay, I don't read anything specific, so we can begin. Now, when I move away from the camera, check that you're still able to hear me well from here. Otherwise, put the volume a little up. Okay, I'm not reading messages now anymore because at this distance I cannot read, so I might read it later. So we're going to start in Sukhasana. So sit high enough, spread the flesh of the buttocks, and then bring the arms up and extend. Now pressing the outer feet, create some sense of lift from the pelvic floor into the abdomen, along the spine, into the chest, all the way towards the crown of the head, and then all the way to the fingertips. Be as tall as you can be, with the legs acting as a base. And by pressing down, they also help you bounce up. There's a bouncing effect. Once you've felt this clear lift from the legs, from the pelvis upwards, then you have to maintain it when you go to Namaste. If you're wearing your glasses, remove your glasses. There's nothing to see now. You're sitting upright in your Sukhasana. You close your eyes, you soften your facial muscles, soften the inside of the mouth and the tongue. And with the hands in front of the chest, become aware of the chest region. Is it still lifting? Is it also broadening, widening? Is it moving with the breath, or is it fixed? You want to feel the spine is quite stable, but the ribs are moving with the breath. We chant the Om and the invocation phrase by phrase. So when my Om finishes, you start. When my first phrase of the invocation finishes, you repeat it. So in this way, my voice is not bothering you, but it's a reminder. And in this way also, because we're doing pranayama today, you're more aware of inhaling and exhaling with the due pauses, with the due time. So never rush your inhalation to chant the next phrase. And you have all the time to fully and deeply inhale. Yogena citasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakaruttam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi. Abahu Purushakaram. Shankachakra Siddharinam. Sahasra Shirasam Shvedam. Pranamami Patanjalim. Hare Om. As you exhale, again, bring the head down, bow to Patanjali. Connect to the lineage, to your teachers. Release your arms, lift your head up, and open the eyes. Now you can put your glasses on again. Okay, so I'd like you now to sit on more height if you're just sitting on the floor or on one blanket. Sit on either a bolster, or if you don't have a bolster, with your 2 or 3 blankets, make a similar shape, similar support. And then, as you can see, the bolster is in the length behind you. And like I said from before, ideally you have a wall behind that is more or less half a meter away from you. So we're going to start in Upavista Konasana, sitting on this soft support. And we do that so that we can feel the pelvic floor and we can relax it. When we're sitting on something too hard, like a block, pelvic floor is not really relaxing. And it's not necessarily felt on the block. You might feel your buttocks or your sitting bones, but the pelvic floor on a block is difficult to feel because it's raised. Yeah? So now instead, release your pelvic floor, let it spread onto that bolster or onto those blankets. With the fingertips behind you, sit tall, and then see that your legs are equally extending right and left side, with the back of the heel pressing down. The ball of the foot is not pushing away from you, but is moving towards you, and the toes are spreading, as if your feet were against a wall. Just be here for a moment and become aware of your pelvic floor. Become aware of your pelvic floor. You can even tilt slightly forwards and backwards. Tilt the pelvis forwards and backwards, massaging the pelvic floor and feeling all its length from the front, from the pubic bone to the back to the tailbone. So that makes you also feel that the pelvic floor is actually quite a big surface. And now, once you've found the front and the back of your pelvic floor, find the middle, be on top of it with the sitting bones going straight down, so that from there you can lift all the way up into the abdomen, into the chest, and along the spine to the crown of the head, becoming really tall. Okay, now from here, when you're stable there, bring the arms up like you did in Sukhasana and extend even further from those sitting bones up. Pelvic floor is now soft, so that's the difference with the previous pose. Your pelvic floor now, you're not trying to lift it, but you're releasing it onto the support. The inner lift is still there. The lower abdomen is lifting, the spine is lifting, the chest is lifting, but the pelvic floor is a little softer than it was in Sukhasana. And it feels broader, it feels longer. Inhale and exhale, release, and come back. Now bend your left leg. I do it as a mirror. Bring the foot really close to you. So if the bolster or the blankets are too much to the front, you have to push them back. So your foot can be really close to your pelvic floor. And now extend only your right leg again with the fingertips behind you. And feel how you can send that thigh strongly down. Calf, heel, pressing strongly down. And then from here, you maintain that leg stable. You're going to turn first towards your straight leg. You can grab with your right hand the back of the bolster or the back of the blankets to get more of a pulling action that helps you turn to your straight leg. And from the left buttock, come forwards towards your left heel. What we're doing is we're becoming more aware of the pelvic floor, of the pelvis in general, and we're mobilizing it. And now you turn and you do the other side. So now your left hand goes to the back of the support and pulls. And now it's the right buttock that has to move forwards towards your left heel, left foot. Just feel how the pelvis is moving, the abdomen, especially the lower abdomen, you feel lower abdomen, lower back. Just wakening up that area of the body. And coming back. Now feel the difference when you do the same thing with the block under your right heel. So look at where your right heel is and place a block, not flat, but in its middle position where the heel was, so that then you can bring the heel on top. And now again with the hands behind, you feel the difference as you press the heel down and you keep sending the thigh down, the leg down. Feel the difference in the back of that leg, maybe in the pelvic floor again, in that groin, right groin. Bring the arms up from here. So when the foot is higher, you probably feel that that right sitting bone is a little lower into the support, is sinking or grounding more down, the right sitting bone. Just because the heel is higher and it's sending that top thigh more down into the hip socket. Maybe you can feel also that the right side of your lower back is a little longer than the left side of your lower back. So keep that length in the right side of your lower back as you turn again to the right. Same as you did before, you grab the side of the bolster or blankets to turn more. You engage your left buttock, so you're coming forwards. You should feel you're more and more on your left shin. You're really standing, sitting on your left shin. And coming back, other side. Turn towards your bent leg, turn to the left. And now engage the right buttock forwards to the opposite foot. Feel the abdomen, feel the lower back. Feel the pelvic floor being massaged on that bolster. And coming back. Good. Now we repeat all to the other side. So you can bend your right leg. You can stretch out your left leg. Readjust in the middle of your blankets or middle of the bolster. So you really feel that the whole pelvic floor is supported. Fingers behind you. And be upright for a moment. Roll the shoulders back. And then same thing, bringing the arms up. Extend. Keep that extension in the trunk. Turn first to your straight leg. Grab the blankets behind you and turn more. Right buttock moving forward, so you're really standing on your shin. So this height, for instance, for you will not be so much possible at this lift standing on the shin, because maybe you don't have a full flexion in the knee. You should not force that full flexion. So maybe your foot is a little more forwards. Yeah, and that's okay. So careful that you don't force on the knee as you turn. And then you turn to the other side. Go to the left side. Again, grabbing with your right hand the blankets behind you. Lift and turn. Feel pelvic floor, pelvis, lower abdomen, lower back. And come back. And now see where the left heel is. Place that block under it. And begin again. Start in the center. Press down now very strongly with the thigh, so you feel that left sitting bone is descending more than before, possibly, is really rooted. And then the left side of your lower back is longer. Keep feeling how long it is as you extend the arms up. So you can extend more the left side away from the left sitting bone. And then you turn again to the straight leg first. Always massaging the pelvic floor onto the support as you bring the right buttock more forwards, standing more on the right shin. And then turning to the other side. Lift and turn, but keep widening, relaxing, softening the pelvic floor. Keep breathing. And come back to the center. Take your knee and bring the foot in. Okay, now do one more. So have the blocks on either sides. Do one more Upavista Konasana like you did before. So just extending the legs with the heels on the floor and sitting upright. Again, tilt the pelvis back and forth a couple of times. Feel how broad and long it is. And then find your middle. From there, reach higher towards the crown of the head. So now feel the legs in relation to the sitting bones. Legs descending lower than your sitting bones. Sitting bones are higher. And now feel the difference when you bring those two blocks now under the heels. So see where the heels are and place blocks so that you can be in your Upavista Konasana with the heels raised. Feel the difference now. Now the sitting bones feel much lower than your legs. So ground down, root down via your sitting bones. Keep the pelvic floor nice and open and soft. From there, reach up with the whole trunk. See that the feet are doing the same as before. You're pressing down with the center of the heel. You're not pushing the toes and ball of the foot away. When you feel stable, bring the arms up. Now, for some of you, this might be too much, having the 2 feet on blocks. Then you can try with flat blocks or no blocks at all. Maybe it's too early for you to do this variation with the blocks. Reach and breathe. Reach and breathe. Check that you're really centered on the pelvis, not tilting forwards or backwards now. With those sitting bones grounding down and both sides of your lower back now long. And exhale, bring the arms down. You can take your knees and bring the feet together in front of the pelvis. Okay. So now we've really woken up the pelvis and pelvic floor, the very lowest, let's say, band of the trunk, lower abdomen, lower back around the sacrum. Now we're going on with some twistings, different twistings, where we will feel more the upper band, which is rest of the abdomen, the whole of the lower back lumbar region to the waist. Yeah. So to do that, we go into Marichasana. So you can keep the bolster or the blankets as they are. And what you do is you bend your right leg. I do it as a mirror to you. You bend your right leg and you spread the calf with your thumbs. You go at the back of the calf and you spread it as you bring the foot very close to you. We're going to turn to the right. So the first thing you do is once you've done the leg, you bring the arms up and you extend up. The other leg is fully extended and you want to still feel from the pelvic floor a lift. Inhale. On the exhalation, you go this way. Now, if you have your period, this is a closed twist that you're not supposed to do. Okay? So I'm asking then you to do a very gentle version where you're just holding the knee with one hand and you lean slightly back on the bolster. So the abdomen is not being compressed. Everybody else, you really cross the elbow as low as you can on the outside of the knee. And then you do this preparation. You bring both hands to the floor as if you are going to do Parshvabhakasana, for those of you who know what it is. Doesn't matter. Anyway, 2 hands on the floor and then leaning onto those hands. Allow the head to go down and feel how this is opening now the left side of your lower back, but a little higher than before, towards the waistline. So you're leaning onto your hands. You're not so heavy on your hips anymore. And by doing that, you feel, especially pressing with your with your left elbow on the outer leg, you feel how you're opening the left side of your lower back. Come back and change. Everybody come back and change. So now again, spread the calf muscle with your hands. Move the foot very close to you. Thighs again, not necessarily maximum, closing the foot towards you. Listen to what your knee can do. Arms up, extend upwards. Create height. If you have your period, I've already shown you what to do. If you don't have your period, you can go and cross fully. So you go all the way with your armpit to the knee. Then you bring the right hand down, left hand down, so they're on the same line. And you begin to lean onto your hands. So this is clearly not an asana. It's an intermediary stage or a preparation for it. Now feel how the right side of your lower back is lengthening. More or less you feel it in the region of your waist. Let the head also go forwards and down. Keep breathing. Your right elbow is pressing into the outside of the leg. Come back and change again. Okay, now we go for the full pose. So again, spread the calf muscle. Ladies in their periods, you do the same variation once again that you were just doing now. Everybody else, lift the arms up first and then cross. So you cross the elbow to the outside of the knee. And then with the other hand, you go to the wall if you have a wall. So you see with your right hand, you go to the wall behind you and you push into the wall. If it's not a wall, maybe it's any other object, push to help you twist more and more to the right. Your right knee should press out into the arm so that you don't get any the tension and compression in the right groin. See that when you do that, there is also more space for the abdomen. You can release the lower middle abdomen and turn more. See, the left hand is open. Yeah, fingers are spreading and the palm is facing front. Stay as tall as you can and push the wall away, so you're pushing yourself towards the bent leg to be more and more upright. Come back and release. Other side. So we're doing all this as a preparation for the pranayama. We're not doing this to get to the final pose necessarily, but really it's about mobilizing and awakening gradually the whole trunk. We started at the base, we're going up. Now, arms up, reach up first, and then turn to the left. First cross well, then bring your left hand to the wall behind you, and then lift and turn. The knee is pushing out into your arm, the arm is pushing back into the leg. You're pushing the wall away to stay upright. Take a few breaths. So you see my profile and you see how kind of compact I am. You're trying to reach that compactness without letting the bent knee go across your body to the right. Feel now again the waist region, that bend, that level of your trunk really being addressed, being touched, being worked. And see how that affects the breathing. And coming back. And release. Okay, we now go for Marichasana 1, which is an open twist, which influences or touches more the upper trunk. So what you all do is now you bend your left leg. So I do it as a mirror. Bend your left leg, and here menstruating ladies can do. Bend your left leg, pull the foot close to you. Then reach up again with the arms. And then come forwards. Grab your right foot in front of you. Take a moment to bend your elbows and come more and more forwards, more and more forwards. You can even place your right hand on the floor and just pull with your left arm and see if you can go a little further. Once you feel that the left flank is lower than your left knee, then you can go around your leg. First with your left arm, then with your right arm, and you grab, if you can, you grab with your left hand your right wrist. Now from here, first lengthen towards your front foot. Come forwards as if you're doing Paschimottanasana. Okay, now from here, begin to turn. Begin to turn using your arms. It is as if you wanted to stretch your arms. And now the knee, instead of pushing out, is pushing in towards you. The bent knee towards your shoulder. Take a few breaths. Can you still feel the pelvic floor? Can you feel the lower abdomen, the upper abdomen, lower back, middle back? And come back. Release and change. Bend your right leg, again spreading the calf. Bring the arms up. And then come forwards first, grab your foot. Bend the elbows to come a little further forwards. And then Left hand on the ground, pull only with your right arm. When you do that, you feel that the whole right side of the body can come more forwards and down, lower than your knee. And then you bring the arm around, other arm around. Now you're grabbing your left wrist with your right hand. First, extend more forwards towards your straight leg. Then begin to turn. Try and extend the arms behind you, so that brings the left shoulder back. And the bent leg is pushing into you to help you stay compact. Now feel again your pelvic floor, lower abdomen, lower back, higher abdomen, middle back, and breathe. And release, and come back. Okay, with the feet together, guys, you should not be doing this. So in your case, have the feet apart and slightly, or also together, but away from you, with more space between the feet and the pelvis, and just reach forwards like this. Do it for your pelvis and for your back, yeah? Everybody else, the feet are close. If you have your period, the feet can be apart. And then you're just moving forwards and back. So let me show this from the side for clarity. This is what you're doing. You're shifting the weight forwards onto the feet or back into onto your pelvis. The arms are pulling you forwards. Now, we do this because for some people, it's not easy to stay on the feet. But you can stay on the feet just for a few seconds before falling back. That should be possible, yeah? Again, the kind of bouncing effect. Reach and come back. Reach and come back. And again, this is a nice massage for the pelvic floor, abdomen, lower back, as well as now also for the shoulder region, chest region. When you come forward, it's like you bring the chest onto your knees. And then when you go back, the chest moves away. If you can now stay in the final pose, fully on your feet, take a few breaths, reaching forwards, like somebody's holding your wrists and pulling them forwards. And then release and come back. Okay, time to do Bharadvajasana using the same support. So just bring it onto your right side. I do it again as a mirror. And then you're going to be on your hands and knees and you shift the feet to the left, but you sit to the right. You want to sit with your right buttock onto that support. Your knees are slightly open, just slightly, but still facing front. We're going for the full pose where you're holding with your right hand the upper left arm just above the elbow. But then you see, don't begin crooked like this, but align your shoulders, be centered. So you should be able to bend this left arm because the hand is higher than the elbow. So you're centered. You're also centered in your pelvis because of the bolster, so your pelvis is leveled. And now from here, let's begin by placing the hand in between the legs so you feel the inner left leg and you slide with the back of the hand towards your knee. Just feel this movement. The hand sliding towards the knee and what that does to your back, to your chest and to your shoulders especially. So now we're mobilizing more the upper part of the trunk. So just repeat this. You see what I'm doing? Just keep repeating in a playful way. Often we get very tense when we have to do twists because we know that breathing is going to be difficult. The pose is going to be difficult, so instead just work at this in a playful way, and then stay with the arm as straight as possible, with the hand as close as possible to the knee. Turn to the right, look to the right, and let the shoulders move back as you open the chest. Now, you're not feeling the pelvic floor on anything, but you feel clearly the right buttock on the support. Release it and release the pelvic floor from that. Feel how the support is kind of pulling your buttock to the right, spreading it, and therefore also spreading the pelvic floor. Now come back for a moment. Keep holding on to the upper arm. And now swinging that arm, you have to reach the other leg. You have to reach the outside of your right leg. Same movement of the hand, sliding towards the knee. Do it a few times and see what this does to the trunk. And then finally stay with the hand close to the knee. Turn to the right and see how you turn much further this time. Can you still keep a sense of release in the pelvic floor with the left sitting bone descending, left buttock descending? Can you breathe? And come back. Release. Okay, now do the same thing without the bolster, without the blankets. Just put them away. So it's the same position, but of course, now the pelvis is not exactly leveled. Do your best to level it by having the fingertips on the ground for a moment and pushing more with your right hand, you see what I'm doing, to come to the middle. Once that is done, same as before, grab the upper left arm and go first to the inner left leg and slide the hand to the knee and turn. Feel how the second time is easier because the body recognizes what to do. And then come back, swing the arm to the next level, to the next leg, and then again slide it to the knee, hand to the knee. Take a few breaths, turn more, try and stretch that left arm fully and roll the left shoulder head back as you do so. Breathe. And come back. Release. Sit for a moment centrally on your heels. Take the bolster or the blankets for the other side. Go on your hands, swing the feet to the right, and sit on the left. Just the left buttock on the bolster or on the blankets. The knees are pointing forwards. Levelize the hips. You can extend the arms for a moment just to get a sense of space. And then the arms go down and you take the upper right arm just above the elbow. And now bring the hand in between your legs and slide it to the knee. Again, do it a few times just to mobilize. Feel the difference between the two sides. Just repeat this. And make sure you're doing it from that arm. Is the hand wanting to reach the knee that makes you turn? And then stay with the hand very close to the knee or at the knee. Turn fully to the left. Roll the shoulders back and down so you still have a long neck. And feel what the pose is doing to you. Especially feel what it's doing to the middle upper back, to the chest region. From the lowest ribs to the top ribs, to the collarbones. And release. And now you have to swing that arm further to the other leg, outside of the left leg. Again, a few times from the hand. So don't turn the head. This is also a way of learning not to be too quick at turning the head in twists, but doing it really from the back, from the trunk. And then the hand reaches to the knee, and then you turn the head to the left. Allow that left arm to slide more and more towards the right. Breathe. Feel the pose. Is the abdomen lifting like you felt at the very beginning of the class? Or is it dropping? Lift it up, in and up to the chest. And release. Now the same without the support. Baladvajasana, full pose. Take a moment to levelize the hips to your capacity by pressing more with your left hand into the floor. When the shoulders are even, you can bring the arms up once more. And then you grab your right upper arm and you go in between the legs, slide the hand to the knee. Couple of times, do it from the arm and then let everything turn from there, including the head. Stay a few breaths. Again, feel how that left arm can go more down and to the right. Instead of resisting the action of the right arm, it follows it. Now go further with the right hand to the outer left leg and turn more. And breathe. Feel how the breath has to adjust to each of these different twists. And therefore you're using your lungs differently. And release and come back. Okay, come again centrally to your heels. Put the props away and you're going to Adho Mukha Svanasana. So, spread the palms, fingers, curl the toes under, inhale, and exhale into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Stay a few breaths, and after all those twists, find again your middle line, find again your symmetry, but also enjoy the space for breathing now. Breathe into the pelvis, breathe into the abdomen, breathe into the chest, from the lower ribs to the upper ribs. Feel that the whole trunk is now present, is mobile, is alive, awakened. Outer shoulders down, triceps down, biceps up to avoid too much tension in the neck. From here, go to Ardha Uttanasana. On your fingertips with the feet apart. Broaden the shoulders so the chest can sink in between your shoulders more towards the floor, as well as coming forwards to the chin. And now from here, go to Prasarita Padottanasana. You can step your heels to the very back edge of the mat. Begin in concave Prasarita. Take a couple of breaths. When you feel stable in your legs, pelvis is above the ankles. Don't move your legs or pelvis as you go all the way down. Head down. If the head doesn't reach the floor, you can put a blanket or a block under the head. So be aware of the whole trunk from the pelvis to the head in this way by having a contact under the head. Shoulders up and away from your ears. And you're looking at your own pubic bone. So stay in the pose. I'm coming out of it. Stay in the pose and just breathe in the Prasarita Padottanasana, being aware of how the breath touches the whole of the trunk. The whole of the trunk. Stable on your feet, legs, pelvis, and from the pelvis, releasing your trunk down to the head. Release the brain down as you breathe gradually, more deeply, more fully. Now walk forwards with your hands. Look forwards. Bring the feet a little closer to you. As wide as your hips. And then hands on your hips to come up as you inhale. Now I had to put the lights on, and I know it's not the best lighting, but that's what I have. So I hope you can still see me somehow. And we're going to Shirsasana. So if you cannot do Shirsasana, then I suggest you do instead Uttanasana with the feet apart, for some time concave, and then full pose. Everybody else, you can do your Shirsasana by the wall or in the middle. I just want to show it first by the wall. I'll show it like this, because I want to show a variation we're going to do. We're going to spread the legs open so that we can again have a very clear feel of the pelvic floor region, because it's being stretched. And from there, all the way to the crown of the head, which is on the floor. So have a look. If you're at the wall, it's a bit tricky sometimes when you spread your legs, because you don't know what to do with the legs. So I'm just showing it here. Have a look if it's your case, then you wonder what to do with the legs. So if you're doing the legs apart, you turn out, and then let the buttocks go to the wall as you bring the legs down first, with the toes pointing down. You go as low as you can, and then there is a point that the lower you go, the buttocks begin to lift higher up towards the ceiling, the tailbone lifts. And that's when you can come slightly off the wall, maybe, if the balance is good. But definitely you should feel the buttocks lifting up towards the ceiling as the toes reach down towards the floor. And then you can come up with the buttocks at the wall. And when the heels are against the wall, you bring the buttocks off the wall. Yeah, so this is how you do if you're doing it by the wall. Those of you who are doing it in the middle, well, you know, okay? So, go to Shirsasana, one way or the other. If you have your period, as I said, you do Uttanasana with the feet apart. First concave for a good minute, and then the full pose for another minute. So, be in Shirsasana now, headstand. And now, if you're at the wall, remember, you can go with the buttocks to the wall. Yes? So all of you, turn the legs out, have the toes pointing out. And then the toes are kind of pulling out and down, out and down. I'm doing it with my hands, with my arms, because I don't want to talk upside down. Yeah. So the toes are leading down. And as you do so, you should feel the buttocks are lifting. So if you're at the wall, they're sliding up the wall. The tailbone is sliding up the wall. If you're in the middle of the room, still, you can imagine your buttocks sliding up the wall and lifting. Now, maybe you can balance off the wall for those of you who are using the wall. Are you still pressing your lower arms? Now press the lower arms even more when you come up. So you bring the legs all the way up first. You can go to the wall with your buttocks as you do so. Then you turn the legs in. Press the heels into the wall and lift the buttocks up and away from the wall. So the first time was just to get used to the movement. Now you've seen what the movement is like. Second time, I want you to do with much more awareness of your trunk. So from the crown of the head to the pelvic floor, what is happening in your trunk and how you're breathing in the trunk. So when you're ready, turn the legs out again. Separate the legs. Feel how the toes are pulling, they're spreading and they're pulling out and down, out and down, out and down. As you do so, the buttocks are lifting. Maybe you can come off the wall. Now be in this pose. Don't be in a rush to come back. Press the arms strongly. So the arms are your base. You should feel you're more on your arms almost than on your head. The weight is more on the arms than on the head. The brain should release and relax onto the support. Be aware of the crown of the head. Be aware of your head, your neck, your chest, your abdomen, your pelvis, all the way to the pelvic floor that's being opened and stretched horizontally. Breathe in the trunk. Breathe in all those areas. Not really in the head, sorry, that was my mistake. You're breathing from the throat region to the pelvic floor region. All that area should be moving and should be touched by the breath. Now from here, press the lower arms and begin to come up. Our legs open and then up. Turn them in. Finally, press the heels to the wall to bring the buttocks off the wall. Be in your Shirsasana. We'll do it one more time. But for now, be in your Shirsasana and find your balance again, your quietness again. Any of you who feels this is enough, feel free to come down and rest in child's pose. The menstruating ladies, if you've had enough of Uttanasana, just sit down on your heels and come forwards to Adho Mukha Virasana, the child's pose. We do this one more time. From Shirsasana, turn the legs out, bring the legs to the sides, bring them down with the toes reaching down, lift the buttocks more, lift the tailbone more. Maybe you can come off the wall. Now feel how you're breathing in the trunk. Feel the trunk from the pelvic floor all the way to your arms and head. Is it long? Is it broad? Is it spacious? Is it present to your awareness? Is it moving with the breath? Now coming back from here, press the lower arms more. Lift the legs up. Reach out and up with the feet. Turn the legs in. Press the heels to the wall if you're at the wall. Lift the buttocks off the wall. Be here. Feel the effects of what you've done. So because of what you did with your legs, are you now more aware of the pelvic floor and from there of the whole trunk, of the whole spine? Are you breathing well still in the pelvis, in the abdomen, and in the chest, in your Shirsasana? Are you still quiet in your brain? With control, coming down to child's pose. So now we're all in child's pose, knees open, coming forwards, resting the forehead, resting the arms. Take a few easy breaths. And then slowly come back and prepare for Viparita Dandasana with the head supported. So maybe you'll have to use your blocks plus your blankets. If you have any other support, bolsters or foam blocks, those can be used too. And if you don't know exactly how much height you will need, just have an extra blanket ready. Or just add it and you can always remove it later. So everybody can do this. If you have your period, you could have your feet a little higher on a bolster, on any other object, on the two blocks against the wall. You could have another chair, a second chair, so your heels are on this second chair. That's also possible. Now, let's do this pose with the belt around the middle of the foot. So the feet are as wide as your hips, more or less. I'm doing it too wide. This is it, yeah. Like this. Huh? So once you've placed the belt, you can let the buttocks go slightly out of the chair so that you can really round your back. This is really a stage I never want to skip, where you are, you see, tilting the pelvis, not like this, but the opposite, tailbone up, rounding your lower back and lengthening it on the chair. Then you keep that as you stretch your legs and as you go further back. So I feel my support is a bit too high now, so I remove one blanket. And this feels better. You don't want to be too much on the back of the skull. You want to be towards the crown, back crown of the head. Okay, and then you can be in your pose, holding the legs of the chair behind, gently pulling with the arms, extending through the heels, turning the legs a little in, and resting the head. If you're wearing glasses, you can remove them because there is nothing to see that's of particular interest. Let the head go and breathe into your chest, not into your abdomen. So now, with all the work you've done so far, again, feel how the whole trunk is engaged in the act of breathing. There is a lift of the pelvic floor towards the pelvis. There is a lift of the abdomen towards the chest. There is a lift of the chest towards the head. And all those parts of the body are working with the breath, are being touched, massaged by the breath. Eyes are open but very soft. Relax your face. Also again, relax your mouth, your tongue, your jaw. Enjoy every single breath. And feel those inner cavities, these spaces inside your trunk. Pelvic cavity, abdominal cavity, chest cavity. Now release your arms and hold the top of the chair. Take the feet out of the belt, bring them on the floor. Now lift your head up, round your back slightly, especially the lower back. Round your lower back as you come up. And then bring the hands behind you. The lower back is rounded. And at this point, you open and lift the chest with a long lower back. Then you sit a little back and upright. Hold the back of the chair with your hands so the shoulders are still going back and down. I see the clock now. I realize there isn't much time for pranayama. Okay, release. Come out of your chair. We have to do Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. So put the chair away now. And adjust your props so that you can do a Setu Bandha. So we're going to do it on the two blocks, with still with the belt around the feet. And if it's too intense for you, you can have your folded blankets under your heels or the bolster. So if you're using a bolster, you can continue using the bolster. That will be for under your heels. Otherwise, 2 or 3 blankets to make it less intense and more enjoyable. Those of you who find this really intense anyway can have the feet even higher. So maybe you can use an extra, I'm showing here an extra sticky mat, any object to make it higher. Or you can also have an extra height blanket or sticky mat under the shoulders. So be ready by lying on your back. Maybe you want to see the pose first. The belt is ready for your feet. You bring it already around the middle of the foot, although the legs are still bent at this point. You might have to adjust your position later on, but for now, you bring the blocks under the sacrum. You tuck the shoulders under, and then you make tiny steps forwards so that you don't lose the belt until the heels go onto that support. And then again, it's about feeling the whole trunk from the pelvis all the way into the upper chest. You can release your arms or you can hold the sides of the mat. and push it away with your hands. Or you can also interlock the fingers around the blocks and stretch your arms like we classically do in this pose. I have the feeling my blocks are too much towards my lower back, so I bring them slightly more down towards the sacrum and tailbone. The lower back should feel long, lengthening and not compressed. Once you're in the pose, look at your own chest. Give some space under the chin so the throat is not compressed. And watch your breathing. When you look at your own body, you should see that it's not the abdomen puffing in and out, moving up to the ceiling when you inhale and descending when you exhale, but you keep the abdomen relatively close to your spine, and instead, on the inhalation, you really expand the ribs. On the exhalation, you release. This is really the best asana to watch the movement of the ribs while breathing. See that your legs are still slightly turning in and not out, so bring the heels more out if you can. And also feel that the outer edges of the feet are sharp into the belt. Relax your face more and more from the forehead to the chin. And stay heavy on your shoulders and arms, especially from the shoulder to the elbow, press down. For the last few breaths, relax your arms to the sides. As long as you keep pressing from the shoulder to the elbow down. Okay, and now bend your knees one by one Take the feet out of the belt. When the feet are well on the floor, lift your pelvis high up. Lift from the tailbone, lower buttocks to the back thighs. Then with your two hands, remove the two blocks to the sides, put them flat down on the floor so they don't fall. And stay another few breaths, lifting higher up with the pelvis. Tailbone up, breathe. And then slowly coming down, vertebra by vertebra, the pelvis as last. Relax the arms, turn them out. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe normally, naturally. And then turn to one side. Use your arms to come up. Okay, now prepare for supported Shavasana. So you'll have your folded blankets or bolster in the length. I suggest the blankets better than the bolster if you have a very thick and round bolster. Blankets are then better. You don't want something that's too high and too thick. So with two blankets also you can do this. You see what I'm doing? The top blanket, I'm pulling it more towards me. So it creates a slide. Yeah. Then you need an extra blanket or an extra cushion for the head. Head always higher than the chest when you do pranayama. Okay. So now all the other props can go except for the belt. You'll have a belt helping your thighs stay connected, stay together. You can cover yourself if you're getting cold or if you might get cold. You can cover yourself with a blanket. Always bend the knees as you lie down so you can adjust better the pelvis, the buttocks and the abdomen when the legs are bent. Again, like you did on the chair, you want to round your lower back and move it to the support, opening it up to the support. Once that is done, you can stretch your legs. You can adjust the other blanket under the neck and the head. We're going to do some pranayama, easy pranayama lying down. So adjust yourself with the shoulder blades going down towards the middle of your back. Release the arms diagonally away from the body. And finally drop the legs completely. They would open up, that's okay. Completely relax your legs. What the belt is doing is by keeping the legs together, you're more aware of the pelvic floor. The pelvis feels quite compact, quite controlled. And from there you can start every inhalation and exhalation. It's always starting from the base and moving upwards. So close your eyes and relax your face. Always release from the forehead down towards the chin. The chin should be lower than your forehead, so take more height under the head if that's not happening. The tongue is soft, the jaw is dropped. Begin by breathing normally. And just become aware again of the pelvic cavity, abdominal cavity, thoracic or chest cavity. and how they feel in this pose, how they interact with the breath. Completely surrender. But the support at the back is there also to make sure you stay awake, to help you stay awake. You could still fall asleep if you really wanted it or if you really needed it. But that extra support under the spine is a help to stay more alert. So you don't want to fall asleep so that you can practice pranayama. So in your own time now, begin to focus on exhaling. And every time you exhale, release further. Let the brain release, let the arms release, legs release, more and more. Continue doing this every time you exhale. But now, as you inhale, feel that the movement of the inhalation begins in your pelvic floor and, like a wave, comes all the way up into the chest. And again, you exhale to release further and further your head, face, brain, arms, legs. Inhale from the pelvic floor, like a gentle caress, like a brushing. Go upwards into the chest. And on the exhalation, release further and further with gravity. So when you inhale from the pelvic floor, it's like you're bringing awareness or light or energy from the base of the trunk all the way up the trunk, into the abdomen, into the chest, to the very top of the chest, to the level of the throat. As you exhale, release further and further. Enjoy each breath and do not force. Now, if the chin is low enough, begin to listen to the sound you're making in the throat. When you inhale, it's more like a sibilant sound, like an S. When you exhale, it's more aspirate. It's more like an H sound. Keep awakening and filling with energy the trunk as you inhale from the bottom to the top, and keep releasing further as you exhale. Now the eyes are closed, but with your mind's eyes, can you still see that the ribs are moving with the breath? And that the abdomen instead is staying quite close to the spine, like you did in Setubandha Sarvangasana. So when on the inhalation you are feeling the whole trunk from the base, you're not spreading it all equally. The pelvis and the abdomen stay quite small, quite neutral, and it's only at the level of the chest from the lower ribs that the inhalation is really becoming visible. A few more breaths. Keep listening to the sound in the throat. After the next exhalation, breathe normally again. Feel the effects in the body, in the breath, in the mind. And then slowly bend your knees. Turn to one side. Keep the head heavy as you come up using your arms. And then you can remove the belt. Okay, we won't do much pranayama sitting, but we will sit. So take more support than you normally take for sitting. Let's say for the sitting that you do at the beginning of the class, take a little more support so that it's really comfortable. If you have an extra bolster, you can put it on top of your legs. Or if you have other blankets, you can put them on top of your thighs in Sukhasana, spreading the flesh of the buttocks, so that you can rest your wrists and lower arms on that support. The hands should not go too far forwards towards the knees, but you pull the elbows back so the shoulders also move back and the chest opens. So just be sitting upright for a moment. If you have that extra object on your thighs, tuck it really close to you so that it also makes you aware of what the lower abdomen is doing. The lower abdomen should be broad, but should also be lifting and moving slightly into the spine, like you felt also in the other poses. So you should never feel that you're pushing the abdomen into that bolster or blankets, but it's touching it, but it's lifting from there and moving in and up. Now release the shoulders down, have a long neck, and then just lower the head. Remember when you were doing Setu Bandha Sarangasana? So much the head close to the chest, but then also lift the chest to the head. Close your eyes and imagine you're looking inside your chest. Now just breathe normally in this position. Still feeling that the inhalation starts in the pelvis and lifts up into the chest, with most of the movement happening in the rib cage. And still use the exhalation to release more. But of course, you cannot release as much as you were doing in Shavasana. So you have to maintain the lift of the spine, the lift of the chest. But you can release all those unnecessary tensions in the neck, in the arms, in the groins, in the legs, in the feet. So inhale always from the pelvic floor upwards. And exhale to release further. Can you still listen to the sound in the throat? Is the head still releasing more and more down every time you exhale? Or are you bringing it up? Now, with the next inhalation, lift your head up to the vertical. Exhale, gently open the eyes. Breathe normally. And then prepare for Shavasana. You can have something under your knees if you want. You can have something under your head. You should stay warm. And lower the lights. I'll lower my lights. I think you can still see me, maybe even better. And you can also cover your eyes with an eye pillow or with a blanket. We'll do 10 minutes Shavasana. I will call you when the 10 minutes are done. Check. Yes, it's now 7 o'clock, so we'll finish at 10 past. Always lie down with bent legs so that again you can adjust your pelvis better, your lower back and your abdomen. Then you adjust the head, the shoulders. See that the support you're using, if you're using it, it's really under the knees, but more towards the thighs, not under your calf muscle. And the last thing you do is covering your eyes. Once you know you're well centered in your Shavasana, and relax the arms to the sides. Allow now the chest to be more passive. Because of that, the abdomen will move more than before. You will feel it expanding as you inhale and sinking, retracting as you exhale. Release more and more backwards. Now breathe more deeply and fully. You can use the same method as before. You inhale from the pelvic floor upwards, filling or feeling the whole trunk. And you exhale by releasing more backwards and downwards. With a deeper breath, you come to life. You come to life, I should say, from your Shavasana. And when you feel ready, you can bend your knees. And you can roll over to the right side with the head heavy and quiet. Use your arms to come up and sit upright. So, thanks for joining, everybody. I have an important announcement to make. This class continues, but next week will be the last time on YouTube, the last time free class. From the 8th of October, so in 2 weeks' time, the same class, I will be giving it via Zoom, and it will be an interactive class. And I've decided to do it because it's okay for some time, but in the long run, I want to see my students and I want to be able to correct you. So just bear it in mind, next week is the same, 5:30 to 7 or 10 past 7. From the 8th of October, if you want to follow this class, you'll have to pay for it, but you'll also be seen by me. And so we can interact. I can see you, I can correct you. I think it's much more fun for everybody, but also it's more effective. Okay, so have a nice evening, and hopefully I stay in contact with all of you. Bye-bye.